For my Masters of Creative Industries major project, I will be building a sound sculpture, writing a song, and releasing both to create some public awareness into the problem of coral not coal. Comprised of over 3,000 individual reef systems, the Australian Great Barrier Reef is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. It's larger than the Great Wall of China and the only living thing on Earth visible from space. The entire living organism contains some of the most diverse collections of marine life on the planet, the largest living structure on the planet in Australia's own backyard. The tourism value alone generated by the Great Barrier Reef is said to be over $6.4 billion each year. The continued mining expansion and burning of coal and fossil fuels is directly connected to the loss of this natural ecosystem. The Great Barrier Reef has experienced a decline of over 50% due to coral bleaching since the 90s, and it's hitting a critical point.
The Masters project I'm undertaking is based around a physical sound sculpture called Poseidon's Music Box. The sculpture will be 2.6 metres tall and 2.8 metres wide. Designed as a man-made representation of coral, the sculpture has embedded solar panels and a battery system that will power the motor and lighting at night time. The sculpture is a large moving kinetic piece constructed from steel, mirrors and plant succulent life. The outside arms of the sculpture will rotate clockwise, while the centre set of the cube will rotate counterclockwise. Extending below the centre cube is an arm that supports 8 large steel chimes that will be struck by hammers on the flat circular disc at the base when the sculpture rotates. These chimes will form a pre-written score composed to support the aesthetics of the piece. The sculpture will be partly covered in wooden panels with messages representing the coral life and the climate change issues we are facing. The whole sculpture will be black representing the coal and white representing the bleached coral, and contains some surfaces covered in mirrors and colourful plant succulent lives. The sculpture will bring attention to the connection between the mining and the bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef, a reminder that it is a living organism that we are killing. I aim to reach an audience with more direct and emotional connection via the physical sculpture and the sound it generates. Sonic sculptures can be more direct in generating emotional effect in people.
The sculpture will act as a large music box, and the score will be recorded with microphones and also used as a bass melody loop for a full popular music song to be produced and released via commercial distribution channels. Video captured during the construction of the final piece will also then be used as a music video to accompany the song for release on the internet via YouTube, in addition to the audio distribution. Publication and distribution of the actual sculpture will occur with a public exhibition. The audio and cover art will be following with a website created to showcase the work. This will include music, video, press release, description, and a photographic journal of the construction of the final display. The sculpture, audio recording, video, and media release will also be supported by a written exegesis and PDF format that will be submitted to SAE in partial fulfillment of the Masters of Creative Industries. The distribution of the digital elements will support the main physical sculpture, but the viewing of the actual sculpture will be the main focus. My background is as a professional musician, music producer, music manager, and music publisher with my business Serotonin Productions and Human Records. I am aiming to transition my music and technical work into the sculpting scene. Both parts of my practice lie in the arts world, and I am building up a professional practitioner profile in Australia and on the Gold Coast. An important skill I have developed through my professional music career is project management and working towards having a creative project that will connect with an audience on an emotional and artistic level. The core values I have as a music producer running a label are strong, and they come through in my work and the work I release with our other artists. The outcomes we achieve with our music releases have been well defined through experience over the past 20 years, and I was able to bring that practice to my sculpting work.
In 2017, I took the first step into the sculpting world with the design, construction and release of my first professional sculpture titled Migaloo's Song. The sound sculpture is the largest steel body stringed harp in the world. With over 412 metres of strings, it was designed and constructed into the shape of Migaloo, the white humpback whale. The sculpture is a 1:1 scale representation of the whale, standing 3.2 metres tall and 10.5 metres long. It's powered by the wind to spin and pluck the strings, and with the sun powering the lighting. It performs a 3-part harmony of a song I composed to match the whale song in E major 7. The design and fabrication process was a new experience for myself, but following a similar creative project system as my music work, I was able to complete the piece on time and won both the Environmental Awareness Award and the overall People's Choice Award at the 2017 Swell Sculpture Festival. The sculpture carried with it a message of awareness relating to how music and harmony connects with humans to the humpback whale. The 2017 Migaloo Song sculpture was recorded, and then a popular music song was also written and produced to the main sculpture melody. The song was released via commercial channels with a professional media release and promotional campaign. Alright, it's been a little bit of a mission getting it spinning. We have some rotation now finally. That's nice. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a mathematical adventure. Getting this spinning and getting this moving and working together needs a little bit of adjustment, but this is going to be the main top part of the sculpture, so I can get on with the body and the arms and on with designing and putting all the different decorations and stuff on. But yeah, come along.
The methodology employed for the process and analysis of the project will be action research cycles, combining both reflective creative practice and praxis. Lewin first coined the term action research in his 1946 paper Action Research and Minority Problems, using a process of a spiral of steps, each of which is composed of a circle of planning, action and fact-finding about the result of the action. The cycle best known in Australia is probably that of Stephen Kemmis and his colleagues at Deakin University. The steps are plan, act, observe and reflect. I intend to adapt this process to be more simply plan, act, observe and reflect. Early and preferred methods of research are typically situated in quantitative modes of inquiry, to measure, observe and make reliable predictions. However, recently there's been a move away from quantitative methods in the humanities field, and qualitative methods have been increasingly important modes of inquiry. Qualitative research is interpretive and concerned with understanding people's actions, beliefs and values within a social context. It is therefore better suited to creative arts practice in relation to action research. Praxis, or the joining of reflective studio practice, is a major focus of the Poseidon Music Box project. Creative production and critical reflection are not separate in art. They are dualistic and mutually dependent. Creative production is inherently critical, and critical reflection is inherently creative. To achieve synergy between praxis and exegesis, the action research methodology is well suited. The combination of theory informing practice and practice leading the theory creates a cycle or spiral. Through the process of construction and analysis of the sculpture, I will be enacting action research cycles through regular video blogs, live streams to social media, and keeping a written journal in the form of short blogs with the photography embedded. These methods will provide points of reflection on the cylindrical process, both during the blog and video process. These journals or blogs will then be used as an overall reflection for the written exegesis. The research for this project crosses over between design and purpose of public art, sound sculpture, and activism. Public art can surround us and create conversations and controversy. It forces us to have an opinion as we try and understand its purpose, starting a two-way conversation. Public art can reach people that may not have previously engaged with art and change their perceptions on certain topics, amplifying the voice of the artist. Selecting public art that pleases the general audience can be an unsuccessful task and too often is left sitting either too safe or too abstract. Sound sculpture can provide a modern interactive take on public art, incorporating both visual and auditory elements to help drive the public interest. I will be situating myself and my practice within the context of sound sculpture and public art. In addition, I will be undertaking a critical inquiry into how both elements of sound sculpture and public art can deliver a message of social activism. The sculpture, while fitting into the sound sculpture field, will be a machine that creates wonderment and curiosity in the audience. This in turn helps bring the viewer into understanding the concept behind the art and to draw their own opinions from the visual and auditory stimulation. The concepts of climate change in relation to mining and the environment are common knowledge, and it is through application of the research that the audience will connect this with the viewing of the piece. I intend to engage my role as an artist to be a catalyst for this discussion. My intention is for my role not to be simply a content provider. I am aiming to come to a better understanding of how public art can be used to inspire social awareness in relation to a cause or issue. Socially and politically engaged art strives to provide a counterpoint to the prevailing images of power and the stereotypes that are fed to us by the media on topics such as democracy, civil and human rights, capitalism and the environment. I suggest that all art is in a sense political. It is about a person's views and freedom to act, freedom to express. Art is about taking a position and encouraging others to feel that same emotion. Art allows for something that cannot be defined easily. It is difficult to quantify or qualify how any one person will see your art or predict the ways in which it will affect people. Friedrich Nietzsche said that we have art in order not to perish from the truth. I think that art can take from the past and present and help define what is now and how the future can be. For me, the purpose of art is to create an emotional response in the person that is exposed to the art. The sculpture and the research attached to the design and implementation will also help contribute to a broader body of knowledge for future sound sculptors and activists. Through my research and ideation of this project, I will be documenting and providing insight into my process and perspectives on both the art design aspects and how I intend to integrate the environmental activism outcomes through my art. Environmental and political activism is an aspect of my sculpting work that is important to me. My music career has been integrated with activism in the past, and I've created a profile of activism through arts on the Gold Coast. Music has a wonderful power and space to be able to vocalize how we are feeling without apology. I found the use of our music as a voice on sensitive issues is very effective for creating awareness. In thinking about how I've worked in the past, I am focusing this master's project on understanding how I can design my sculpture to inspire social awareness with a cause. My research into sound sculpture is uncovering different aspects of sculpting and public art in general. As I progress with my sculpture work, I am setting myself up with a profile of kinetic sound sculptures and geometric design work based on the mathematical patterns found in nature. My previous work, Migaloo's Song, was based on the Fibonacci sequence, with a series of circles, and the song was composed to mimic and coincide with the humpback whale songs. This coral formation sculpture, Poseidon's Music Box, is based on regular quadrilaterals, the rhombus, dihedral groups, and will be following design cues from both coral formations, microbial life, and succulent plant life.
My interest in the construction of musical instruments has always been based on the physics of sound and acoustics. While my interest in sound sculpture has developed through my collections of music boxes and Leonardo da Vinci inspired machines over the years, I see the concept of moving towards sculpture and sound sculpture more of an addition to my music career rather than a new field. I'm solely not interested in creating sculptures, but more so incorporating music composition and acoustics into my sculpture work. The practice of sculpture for myself is based on engineering, mechanics and musical acoustics, although the aesthetic design space is integral to my creations. I've always taken cues from nature and my surroundings, and am fascinated by the geometric designs in nature, from the microscopic through to the planetary evolution of forces that shape them. My interest in biology and life and its combination with physics has been reinforced through my astrobiology degree, and I have a drive to incorporate this in my sculptures. The fabrication and construction work with my hands also provides a meditative practice for me and allows me to rest mentally. Another good day. We are sweet, perfect level with our base for the sculpture. And we have a couple of the hexagon rings that are going to go down the base. Finished off. These are the bottom parts down here. So, it's all coming together. The top section is all finished, and upstairs it just needs some mirrors and paint and a little bit of grinding as always. But my pile of steel is slowly getting smaller and smaller. I can actually move around in my garage again, which is nice. And yeah, we haven't got too much wastage. We have to stick it somewhere. But yeah, things are getting pretty close. We have more measurements to take, and yeah, a few more designs to pull together. But it's nice to see the base working, and we're going to get that center pole fixed in there tomorrow.
My own searches for works relating or being called sound sculptures have found works that can either generate sound and sonic textures, such as the aeolus, works that are machines and perform structured and pitched musical pieces, such as the Music Box at the Figment Interactive Sculpture Garden in New York, and works that simply visually represent sound, such as Pendra's sound waves in China, all are considered sound sculptures. Any of these three definitions can represent sound sculptures, and it seems that simply including or representing sound in a physical sculpture can be defined as sound sculpture. My interest is from a musician, composer, producer background, and therefore strongly situated in the second definition, creating moving kinetic sculptures that perform a pre-composed piece of music. I'm also interested in having these kinetic sound sculptures powered by sustainable means, with either natural forces or renewable energy. Through my work on this project, however, I hope to form a better definition of sound sculpture in relation to my work and put it into perspective with my professional music career. One of my inspirations for kinetic sculpture work is Anthony Howe. I enjoy the connection between geometric design and nature and attempting to mimic that in my sculpture work. There are many kinetic works online, and these form the basis for my reference. I hope to create a style and profile for myself as a sculptor with the integration of musical pieces, simple colour systems, renewable energy, and a connection to the environment and nature. Other kinetic pipe organ sculptures I have sourced for inspiration include the Wave Organ by Peter Richards and George Gonzalez in San Francisco, which uses the wave and tidal movements to amplify the sound of water in the ocean. The Singing Tree by Tolkien Lou Architects in Burnley, UK, a collection of steel pipes that utilise the wind to create sound. The Aeolus at Eden Project by Luke Jerem in the UK, and the Zeta Sea Organ by Nikola Basic in the town of Zeta in Croatia. My fabrication skills have improved since 2017, with more research into techniques along with discussions with other sculptors surrounding metalwork. The structural design, steel, solar, motor and bearing materials are currently being fabricated onto the sculpture. The fabrication plan is to start from the centre of the sculpture and work my way outwards, ensuring that the separate large sections are removable to make it easier to transport. The solar power batteries and panels have also been acquired and tested to ensure they support enough power to feed the motors and the 412 LED lights on the final sculpture.
The succulent plants for the final coverings of the arms of the sculpture have also been propagated to ensure they are right size for installation on the final sculpture. The musical aspects of the sculpture have been begun, and the experimentation of scales and several melodies have been written. A study into the acoustics of chimes and the construction of large steel chimes has resulted in a series of notes in the third and fourth octave that will be attainable for the sculpture.
Test chimes have been cut and hung to test the acoustic properties and the volume of the final pieces.
It's hard enough building a sculpture, let alone a musical sculpture. Trying to get the tuning right on these holes is a little bit difficult.
The melody is developing along with the song lyrics to help drive home the theme of the whole project. The musical aspect is easier given my background, and I feel we'll be able to better connect the score to the physical piece at a later stage, rather than adapting the sculpture to the score.
Been running since 9 this morning, it's about 5 now, and yeah, it is good to get things moving and finished. And yeah, it's going to sit out here on the lawn very soon, and it's going to be good. But everything is working nicely and no problems today, which is good. Some massive cutting and moving, and I have all my fingers, which is always a good start. The top spinning cubes are finished and the main base and frame has been completed. Most of the time and effort has been put into the welding, cutting and grinding at the moment. The fabrication of the main structure is set on the timeline and is a little bit ahead of the due date. I've met with the Stoppardini crew and they're on board to help deliver the message of the sculpture and the song at the end of August.
Through the process of this master's coursework and the literature review, I've become more aware of the history and background of sound sculpture. Migaloo's song had a similar setup to this current sculpture, Poseidon's music box, but now that I have a much greater awareness of my practice and the context, I'll be able to make a more directed statement with this current piece. And so therefore I've been thinking about how public art can enact change and integrate with activism, and how I can merge my creative work as a musician and a sculptor together to create this project. My passion and creative work go hand in hand, and I have a desire to change the world for better through my art. This project fills my desire to find a more effective way of reaching my audience with my sculpture work, and combine art and activism to inspire people to embrace the issue.